For lab 1, we will set up IP address for 4 computers of the same network address, that is 192.168.0.1, 2, 3, 4 respectively. Once we have configured the computer, we will select a switch to interconnect the computer and a connecting cable, that is a straight copper wire, for connection between switch and our lab 1 computers. Similar to lab 1, we will also set up the lab 2 by connecting it to the switch and configuring the computer. Over here, we will configure with a different network address, that is 10.10.10.1, where the subnet mask is 255.0.0.0, and for other computer 10.10.2, 3, 4 respectively. Now we connect the computer in lab 2 with the switch with a straight copper cable. Hence the connection is completed and we have lab 2 setup ready. Now we will test our lab 1 and lab 2. We change the simulation mode and make PC0 communicate with PC3 and PC4 communicate with PC7, and we start the simulation, and we can see that the communication is proper, hence our network is properly set up using a switch network, so they can communicate within the network. All computers are connected and they can communicate within the network. Now we switch back to the real-time mode, and now we will try to send a packet from PC0 to PC7. But we require to have an interconnection between these two labs. So we select a switch and we'll connect this two switch through our cable. Here the cable will be a cross cable because we are connecting a similar devices, that is switch to switch we require a cross cable. Now we will again switch back to the simulation mode, where we try to send a packet from PC0 to PC7 because we have a physical connection. When we set a the source at PC0 and destination as PC7, you can see that the packet is discarded at PC0. Why? Because the packet is being transmitted to dissimilar network, so the communication won't occur. Why? Because switch never established a communication between dissimilar network. So you will always see that the packet get discarded at lab 1 PC0 because of dissimilar network. So how do we communicate into a dissimilar network? So we require to have a router. Now we delete a switch and select a router 1841 router 0, and we connect a switch to a router. After establishing a connection, we need to configure a router because router work at network layer, so each interface of the router, that is F0/0 or FA0/1, required a proper IP address, that is a fast Ethernet 0/1 required a proper IP address. To configure router, just double click on the router. You will see a physical router view. Now we will go to the config tab and we will select an interface to which we have to configure an IP address. The first interface that we will select is fast Ethernet 0/0, which is connected to lab 1, and fast Ethernet 0/1 is connected to lab 2. Just click on the interface and check port status on. As soon as you check, you will get a green signal indicating the router interface is on. Now we will assign an IP address. For assigning an IP address, we have to ensure that we are connecting a router interface to lab 1. So we have to give an IP address of lab 1 network address, that is 192.168.0.5. that we have to ensure, and the subnet mask remain the same, that of lab 1. Similarly, we will also configure lab fast Ethernet 0/1 which is connected to lab 2. So we have to first check the port status on, which is red right now. When you check on it, the router interface is turned on, and now we will configure according to the network address of lab 2, that is 10.10.10.5. The subnet mask for the lab 2 is 255.0.0.0. Now the router interface 0/1 is been set to the lab 2 network address, so they can have a communication. Now we have a router where one interface is communicating with lab 1 and one interface is communicating with lab 2. Hence the router can now establish a connection between two labs. But for that we need to again make some changes to our computers, where the default gateway has to be set as a router IP address. Now we will test whether the communication can occur. We will change to a simulation mode and make source address as PC0 and destination address as PC7. But the packet is getting rejected. Why? Because we have not set a default gateway where we will ask PC0 to forcefully send a packet to the router, and the router will generate and forward a packet to a dissimilar or a different network. Again we will change to a real-time mode and will hit a command through a command prompt. Command prompt will write a ping command, ping 10.10.10.4, that is our destination or 1. You see that it is not getting pinged, means there is no connection. Now instead of pinging to a destination, we will try to ping our own router interface, that is 192.168.0.5, and check whether we have established a connection. Now our computers can connect or communicate to a router to the interface fast Ethernet 0/0. Similarly, we will check on the lab 2, will ping to the interface of a router, that is 10.10.10.5, and see the reply is been generated. This indicates what? Both the networks are been transmitting a packet to the router. Now only the communication or the switching or the forwarding between the router is remaining. That what we have to do, we have to do a minor changes in our PC configuration. Just click on the PC IP configuration and just put a default gateway as router interface address for our network, that is 192.168.0.5. that is our router IP address. So whatever packets are coming to PC0, we will directly forward it to router, and router will forward to a dissimilar network according to the connection. So for all computers, what we have to set for lab 1, all computers default gateway will be 192.168.0.5. that is our router IP address. In a similar way, we have to also do a changes to our lab 2, where lab 2 will have a IP configuration and default gateway as their router IP address, that is 10.10.10.5. So forcefully all the packets by default will go to the router if switch or the machine is not able to identify the address. Now we will switch to the simulation mode and try to transmit a packet from PC0 to PC1, which was not possible using switch. Now it has been started. Initially the ARP packets have been transmitted to know the complete scenario and understand where the destination node is. So ARP packets have been transmitted in a lab 1, where switch replied back, I know where to be transmitted, and the PC0 received the packet. Now PC0 transmit the actual ICMP packet. It will directly go to the router 0 with the destination IP address at 10.10.10.4, that is PC7. But where the PC7 is connected is not known. So initially the ARP packet will be broadcasted. All the rest PC will discard the packet, only PC7 will reply back to the router. The router now got to know that PC7 is there in lab 2. So he will now forward a packet transmitted by PC0 to PC7. Now we again select a source as PC0 and PC7 and just play a simulation. Now the ARP has been done, all the nodes addresses are known to everyone. Now the packets will directly move from router 0 to lab 2 is forwarded. The router has done the forwarding and the packet will get delivered to PC7 successfully. So what we have seen now, initially by using a layer 2 switch which is working at data link layer, the dissimilar network indicates what? The network address is not matching, cannot communicate. But with the help of router, we can configure and establish a communication between two dissimilar networks. But now in this video, we have learned that router has been configured automatically. We have not done anything. We can also configure router static or with some specific routing algorithm. That will be checked in the next video. Now I am also showing it you through a command prompt. Now when I am pinging from PC0, the packets have been getting replied. So we have successfully established a communication between two labs using a router. Thank you. So whenever you have a problem or you are not able to do this kind of experiment, please comment below so that I can give away the solution to you. So this was one of the simplest way of configuring a router. We will in the upcoming videos we will also learn how to configure router for a particular algorithm, and that will be learned soon. Thank you.